Hi everybody, today is a great show. It's all about hair loss. So it's been very much requested. I'm gonna let you guys start coming on. In the meantime, enjoy the song about hair. Let you guys start coming on. Hi guys. That was just a really cute song. Today is all about hair. Hi everybody. Oh my gosh, I've had this request so many times about hair loss. Hello everybody, thank you guys so much for being here. Welcome to the show. It's gonna be about an hour, but I'm gonna try to really get into this because, I was going to have a doctor on here and I'm just going to give you, this is the preview of a really great show coming up, but you would be surprised on how much I have learned about hair in getting this show together. So we're going to talk about hair. I do have a winner for the hydrolyzed collagen eye patches, but I'm gonna share that winner on tomorrow's live. Okay. Somebody asked what I'm drinking, and I am drinking a mushroom coffee. I do want to let you know, up for grabs this week is a entire thing of Nutrafol hair vitamin, which is quite expensive. So I have stopped taking this, not because it doesn't work, but it doesn't work for me. And the reason is because the nutrition only works on a certain part of the hair. So hair loss is so complicated, you guys. There are multiple causes of hair loss. So it can be anything from hormonal fluctuations, traction alopecia, wearing your hair too tight in a ponytail, using extensions, hormone fluctuations, genetic male pattern baldness, depending on where those androgen receptors are. So there is a lot going on, which means, and this is for both men and women, this means that there's a lot of different treatments and hopefully one that's right for you. So if you've been dealing with hair loss, it is so tied to our self-esteem. And it kind of goes hand in hand. There are people with anxiety and depression that lose hair. There's also people that when you lose hair, it's so traumatic that it causes anxiety and depression. So we're gonna get right into it, okay? Again, if you wanna be in the drawing for the hair vitamins by Nutrafol, you need to invite your 3 people with that little arrow there. And then when I post this to the main feed, you tag 3 more people. Okay. So let's get into it. This is what a hair follicle looks like. It's kind of crazy, but we're gonna get into all of that stuff. So just so that you guys know, by about the age 50, which I'm 55, 80% of all men and 50% of women will have experienced hair loss to the point where you notice it. And that is what can cause tremendous anxiety. Stress causes more hair loss. So some people stress eat, I stress shed. So my hair loss is very much related to my stress level and also my circulation. And I've learned this over many years of trying to address my own personal hair loss, you guys. About 1.5 years ago, I moved into this house. It was the biggest move of my life because we went from a house during COVID with all of my kids there. And then we all kind of moved at the same time. My hair went into a resting stage, and after that, it just shed. So this has happened multiple times in my life. So I know psychologically how devastating it can be when your hair starts falling out in clumps. It's totally frightening, which only makes it worse. So, of you guys out there, if you're over the age of 50, 80% of you, if you're men, have significant hair loss, and 50% of women. It's harder to tell in women because we just notice it like in our part. We've got longer hair and we can hide it in more ways, but 50% of us are losing hair. And because I was gonna have a doctor on here, which I'm still gonna do, but not today, Just excuse me because I had to do a lot of notes last night. So hair loss begins at the age of 30 though. So if you're over 30, you're already starting to lose hair. You just don't notice it for another 20 years. And that's when we start panicking. There is a genetic component. There is a nutrition component. So biotin and iron, but there's a genetic component as well. And it's not as simple as looking at your mom's side of the family. So if you look at your mom's side of the family, the androgen receptors, the pattern in which we lose hair. Do we lose it as the male pattern baldness? Are we losing it at the temples? Are we losing it all over? Are we losing it at the little cap here? That is what is dependent on your mother's genes. So your mother's genes tell where those androgen receptors are, but that's not all that's involved in hair loss, okay? So you would think that because I know my hair loss is a result of circulation, there's also a genetic component to my hair loss, and it's stress related. You'd think that I could let me just cure the stress of it, and then my hair will grow back. It's way more complicated to that. So we're gonna talk first about, just very quickly, and I'm just gonna speed through this, the anatomy of the hair, and you can then kind of see. This is why a dermatologist is the person to go to. Hair is involved in your skin. It's not your hairdresser to go to. A hairdresser that is making some sort of potions for your hair that will help for your hair loss, they're getting their information from a dermatologist. Go straight to the source. Okay, so we've got all of this. Let me get back to here. You've got this bulb, right? So you've got the hair shaft, which comes out of the top. This is the hair shaft. We have the hair root, which is down here. We've got the hair bulb, which is at the very, very big, bottom. And we've got a group of stem cells in here that are responsible for making those daughter cells that pile up on each other and shoot the hair out. So this is a keratin base created by, which is a protein created by the stem cells. So if your stem cells are lacking here or die off, your hair is going to die, right? If you're not getting you see how there's a blood supply here? There's little capillaries that supply this whole area and supply the stem cells with nutrition and with oxygen. So it's giving oxygen in the blood and nutrition in the blood. So that's why the circulation is super important down here as well. So we're looking at a lot of different causes. And then also your melanocytes are down here. That's what causes the coloring of your hair. You've got melanocytes in your skin cells here that make the melanin for your skin. You have melanocytes that produce the melanin for your hair as well. And when those melanocytes stop producing hair, that's when your hair turns gray. Okay, so it's very complicated. It's crazy. It's kind of very complicated. Fascinating, but very complicated. Okay, so I'm just gonna speed through this stuff. We also have a sebaceous gland here, and that is what helps us. It's antimicrobial. It also helps to protect that sheath with a coating. That's super important. And we've got this muscle, this erector muscle, and that's like when we get cold or scared and your hair kind of stands up on end. All of this anatomy of the hair is really important when we are talking about hair loss. All of it's important. You've got your blood vessels, super important. Give nutrients to your stem cells, super important. You've got this kind of muscle here that helps the hair stand up. What happens when you relax this muscle? You can get more circulation. It's a lot of different pathways. A lot of them are hormonal. So we're gonna go through that. You have 3 different phases of hair growth. This is it. You have your anagen phase, which is the beginning. This is where the hair is growing. Okay, your hair is on the move. It is growing, and this phase differs in people depending on your genetics. So you can have an anagen phase that lasts 2 years. You can also have an anagen phase that lasts 8 years. Somebody just said, show me your underarms. Laser hair removal. I have no hair under my underarms. But anyways, that was just a random question. I just thought that was kind of funny. Okay, so this phase, the growth phase, is 2 to 8 years. So if you ever notice, like, there's some people that they just can't grow their hair long, It's because they probably have a shorter phase of growth. Okay, so this is 2 to 8 years. It differs on various body parts. We don't have 2 years of our eyebrows growing, right? We have about, what is it? I think it's like every month we have a 4.2 millimeter in eyebrow growth. And every once in a while you'll get that long, kind of weird stringy one. It's because that one just increased the anagen phase, which is the growth phase. I hope this is making sense. Okay, then we go to the next phase, which is the catagen phase. In this phase, you start kind of, hair recedes from the bulb. So as you can tell, if you can see, the bulb is down here. You've got all the stem cells. Let's assume you've got all of your sebum. You've got all of this stuff, that the capillaries, all of this stuff is working. In this phase, this is after 2 or 8 years, you go here and it starts receding from the bulb up. Okay, that's the catagen phase. Then we go to the telogen phase right here. And what happens is it starts resting. So have you ever noticed when you've gone to a hairdresser and you're in times of real stress, and your hairdresser might say, well, your hair didn't really grow that much this month. What has happened is if you're in times of stress, you have at more times put all of your hair in a resting phase and you won't get that outgrowth. You're about ready to shed. That's what happens to me. My whole hair in times of severe stress, not my whole hair, but a lot of it, will go into a resting phase, the catagen phase, and then it will start shedding. And when your hair falls out in clumps, it's basically your hair has gone into a resting phase all at once and then it starts shedding. So that's the telogen phase. It's resting. Stem cells are inactive. There's no new daughter cells being made that push up. And it recedes and the stem cells die. So in this telogen phase, the stem cells could potentially die where you are completely bald and it will not regrow, or especially on our scalp, this can happen. On our scalp, this can happen. You can return to this anagen phase. And what it will look like is a new hair will start pushing up and the old hair will fall. We're not guaranteed that this happens, and this changes with age, and it changes depending on your hormones, your nutrition, your stress level, your sleep. It is all interconnected. Okay, so I hope that we understand a little bit more of that. Now, let's get into the treatment, okay? I hope I didn't lose you guys. We're talking about the treatment right now because there are so many things. I'm gonna get to the microneedling. There's so many things that are out there right now where you do not need to suffer in silence, you guys. You don't. I hate that. I hate it when it changes their day. Excuse me. Always makes me a little bit emotional. I hate it when it affects people's days. If you are uncomfortable or you have, you're insecure about your hair loss, it changes what you do. It changes how you wear your hair, it changes what you do. You're self-conscious about it. If you've ever gone under the sun and you're like, wow, you can really see my scalp. It's devastating. It's devastating. And if I wish that I were somebody that was like, you know what, it's just hair. It's very much tied to our self-esteem, you guys. Our hair, especially as women and as men as well, for men as well. So our hair is tied to our self-esteem, just like our skin is, just like our weight is. It is outward facing, okay? If it starts changing your day, you want to do something about it, that's what we're talking about next. Okay. So the main things that have to do with hair loss, hormones, you need the hormones that support it. So if you're in this phase and you want to return to the anagen phase, you need hormones that support that. You need blood supply. You need nutrients such as iron and biotin and folate. You need this or else the whole thing dies and it will not be replaced. You need to have all of these stuff in place, your hormones in check, blood supply, nutrients, all of it, okay? The person to see, again, is your dermatologist. Now, there's physical treatments and there's chemical treatments. Physical treatments, people will often say massage your head, right? There's a problem with physical treatments, and I wanna make sure that we're clear about this. Physical treatments, such as microneedling, such as massage of your head, most of the time help in that circulation to create another hair when it falls out. For some people, the physical manipulation can cause excess hair loss. Okay, it's rare, but you do want to, if you can, not rub like this, but to keep your hands stationary and move your scalp around. If you've got a very mobile scalp, you've got good circulation in there. Inversions in yoga help as well, right? Putting your head down, getting all of that kind of circulation there. Red light therapy caps help as well, but let's just go one by one. You need to see your dermatologist. That is the person that you need to see, okay? They're the ones that went to school, and the reason why is because, like I said, it's part of your skin. Your hair is part of your skin. It's coming out of your skin. You got to see your dermatologist. Okay, make sure, number 2, make sure your hormones are in check. So if you are perimenopausal, which starts around 30 years old, there's a reason why at 30 years old, we start losing hair to the point where we notice it. 30 years old is when we start getting those hormone changes. We've already grown up. Our body is not getting any bigger, right? So our hormones then start changing. You don't think your hormones change at around 30? They do. And all of that leads to hair loss. So for a man and for a woman, women have a lot of testosterone. We have more testosterone inside of us than we do estrogen. So drops in estrogen decrease hair, drops in testosterone decrease hair, but also the way that we convert testosterone to DHT changes with age. How do you check your hormones? You got to call a doctor. Look for a hormone specialist. You can look for, if you're a man, your prostate doctor is probably a good idea to ask who is a hormone specialist in the area that's covered under your insurance. Because if you're going to a doctor that's covered under your insurance, for a man that would be a prostate, they check the prostate health. For a woman, that's a gynecologist. I'm not saying that a gynecologist or a prostate doctor should be giving you hormones. That's not what they went to school for. You go to a hormone specialist, okay? A hormone specialist. You can also call the number on the back of your card. If you have insurance, call the number on the back of the card. Ask for a hormone specialist in your area that's covered by your insurance. Okay? So, like I said, dips in hormones, perimenopause, fluctuations can cause thinning of the hair shaft. Testosterone, DHT, estrogen, thyroid hormone, insulin growth factor, all of those hormones affect hair growth. Women have more testosterone than we do estrogen. During perimenopause, all the hormones decline. Estrogen, progesterone, DHEA, all of it. Testosterone, it declines. So if it's declining, it's affecting, not only are you getting less testosterone, which helps with hair, but you're also, the way that the testosterone is being converted, it's being converted into DHT, which actually inhibits hair growth. It actually acts as a block. So that's why a lot of people, you hear DHT being talked about a lot. DHT is converted from testosterone, and DHT is not good for your hair. So the shampoos that are out there, they have DHT blockers, a lot of the oral medications. We're going to get into all of this, you guys, because my hair is growing like a freaking chia pet right now. I've never seen anything like it. So I've been wanting to do this show for a long time because I'm finally, with a combination of treatments, getting real substantial hair growth. This does not even feel like my hair. Like, my family is like, what is going on with your hair? Because I have got all of these little baby hairs everywhere, and my hairdresser says it's all through my hair, throughout my entire thing, little hairs that are growing out. So I'm just in shock. And I wanted to get a doctor in here to explain it. You'd be surprised how many really, really smart doctors there are out there in the world that have so much information to share and they are camera shy. So I go in and I get all the information from them and I look at all the research and then I'm sharing it with you guys. Okay, so let's keep going. Okay, if you've noticed a change in your hair, I suggest a full hormone panel, regardless of your age. If your hair is thinning, your hormones are being affected. Your hair looks so healthy and amazing. Thank you so much. I'm telling you, it has been a struggle. And for those of you who are losing hair, I understand the psychological component of it because it's devastating. It is. It's a devastating thing. Not in the whole scheme of life, okay? You know, we're not that tied to our hair, but we are tied to our hair. So we can't ignore that. I'm missing so many questions, but I'm going to try to get through this. Hi, Neil. I'm going to try to just get through this. One of my friends just joined. I haven't seen it in a long time. I'm going to try to get through this just so we know. So right now we've talked about, let's just recap a tiny bit because we're talking about what we need to do. First of all, you need to see your dermatologist. They are the person that went to school for specifically hair loss, right? Make sure your hormones are okay. So you need to get your testosterone checked, your DHT checked, estrogen, thyroid hormone, insulin growth factor. These are all associated with hormones. With your hair loss. And when your testosterone at a certain age starts getting more converted to DHT, it acts as an inhibitor for hair growth. You will lose hair. So that's what we need to make sure that we're doing as well. So when we're talking about androgens, like testosterone is an androgen, dihydrotestosterone, which is DHT, I'm just going to refer to it as DHT from now on. DHT is made from testosterone. It binds to the androgen receptors. So we have androgen receptors on our head that are genetic. The amount of quantity that you have, right? It is devastating. Okay, if that helped for you, the scalp massage, it's helping with the circulation. I want to go circle back around though on that oil because you could be clogging that pore. So those two kind of treatments, I want to address those together because that's not a typical combination. I'm so glad it's working for you, and that is proof. Saw palmetto, that's another one. That's another herb that is minuscule though in decreasing DHT. It's not, there's more effective things to do. If you are getting results with saw palmetto, continue, okay? Continue with that. It is affecting your DHT in a minimal level, but if it's not working for you, you need to go to the bigger guns, and that's where we're gonna get there. Okay, so when testosterone is converted to DHT, which happens more frequently after the age of 30, you're inhibiting your hair growth, okay? And that's because that DHT is working on enzymes to increase the anagen phase. So that growth phase of the hair, when DHT inhibits this, puts it more over here, right? That's not good. It's not good. Okay, so that being said, it is on your mother's side in terms of the amount of receptors that you have. Where you're going to go bald is determined by your mother's genes in terms of the number of androgen receptors. So when DHT affects those androgen receptors, that's where you're going to go bald. It's still DHT related, so there is a little bit of genetic tie in terms of where you're going to go, where you're going to lose your hair. Are you going to lose it all over? When this tends to be more about how do we prevent DHT conversion? We're going to go into it right now. Okay. That said, I want to back up for a second and talk about full thyroid panel, because your hormones are not just estrogen, testosterone, DHT, progesterone, DHEA. Your thyroid plays a big part in terms of your hair as well. So the next time that you're getting your blood looked at, when you're getting your blood work looked at, add in, and I'll get to it in a little bit, an iron panel. Add in a full thyroid panel. And I don't mean TSH. If you ask your doctor for a full thyroid panel and they only test your TSH, run. That is a sign that you need to change your doctor. change your doctor. That is an antiquated test. Just looking at TSH is an antiquated test for your thyroid health, okay? You need to check not only TSH, but T3, free T3, T4, free T4, reverse T3, and then all of the Hashimoto's antibodies, okay? Get your hormones in place, because when you're in this phase, right, return to the anagen phase. You've already done your growth. You've gone to your catagen phase, your telogen phase. This is already receding from the root up. Your chance of returning, if your hormones are not in place, this doesn't happen. If your hormones are not in place, that doesn't happen. You could kill your whole hair, okay? Also, if your nutrition is not in place, this doesn't happen. Also, if your circulation is not in place, this doesn't happen. There's so many pathways that have to do with keeping your hair and growing hair. We're gonna get to like what I consider to be the cream of the crop, but thyroid, you gotta get those hormones in place. If you're just joining me and you wanna be in the giveaway for the Nutrafol vitamins, I couldn't take them out of the package, but there's a whole thing of hair vitamins in here. These are like $70. This is what's up for grabs. You need to invite 3 people. When I post this to my main site, you tag 3 more people, okay? We're moving on. Red light therapy. Okay, so a lot of the hair loss stuff has to do with increasing circulation. I took the pads out of here because every time I put this on, I dent easily, so I get like dents, and I didn't want to do that on screen. So I just want to let you guys know, this is the iRestore laser. I do not care about selling products, you guys. I'm just telling you. If I can get you guys a discount on something, fantastic. If I can't get you a discount, or you find a discount someplace else, go for it, please. And then share it on my profile so that other people get the best job, the best price on this stuff, okay? Because this is expensive. I think this is like $400. It might be $300, no, $400. I think with my discount, you get it for $350. But it does help increase circulation. So what does red light therapy do? I have the big panel back here and I don't want to get up. Red light therapy increases circulation. So when we're looking at the structure of your hair, all of this circulation is super important in giving oxygen to the area, in supplying nutrients. So your biotin, your iron, all the things necessary for growing the hair is in your blood. Your circulation, this is all super important because that's how your hormones are getting here as well, right? Guess what red light therapy does? It increases circulation. That's why red light therapy helps with hair. That's why it helps with skin, right? So you don't need to protect your eyes from this because it's not shining in your eyes at all. You do this, I do this every other day for about 15, I think it shuts off at 20 minutes actually. But I do feel like this is one of the pieces for me, one that has worked. I did notice after using this, and I did a whole experiment. My God, I couldn't even think of the word. I did a whole experiment on YouTube where I wore this hat for 3 months every other day, and I covered up this section of my head with a tissue. This is the crazy shit that I do, you guys. In the name of like, does it work? I want to know exactly how it does it work. And you know, marketers, they get paid for a reason. We buy this shit for a reason, right? And there's so many devices out on the market today that don't work. This is in the therapeutic wavelength, right? And we talked about that, which was 630 to 680. And if it's near infrared, it's 800 to 880 nanometers. Go back and look at that live I did on red light therapy, or some of the reels that I've done on red light therapy to find that therapeutic wavelength. This iRestore laser cap is in that therapeutic wavelength. So this does, because I did the experiment and covered up that section of my hair. I'm 55, whoever just asked that. When I cover up that section of my hair grew like crazy on the other side. So if you want to check out that YouTube video, that was what I would consider to be a pretty great experiment in terms of it's still on one person, right? It's on my scalp. There's no reason why one side would grow more than the other. When I'm using this cap, the same on both sides, I just covered up one of the edges. So red light therapy does work, and the reason why it works through, like we said, there's many different causes. Red light therapy works in this cause, in increasing circulation, which gives oxygen and nutrients and blood supply to those stem cells. That's how red light therapy works when it comes to hair. Microneedling, one of my favorite things. You guys, microneedling works with hair growth. Now, red light therapy does not block DHT. We're gonna get to the blockers of DHT in a second. Those are more of your shampoos that you leave on your head. And those are hormones, making sure that your hormones are right? You can test your DHT in a blood panel. You can tell, do I have excessive DHT? You can also test your iron. We talked about that. Adding those tests, full thyroid panel, all of your hormones, DHT level included, as well as your iron levels. It's literally $5 extra or something to add an iron test. Find out, are you absorbing iron, and is it getting to your hair? Because you can't grow hair without iron. You just can't. You need iron to grow hair. Okay, microneedling. Microneedling, there's actual research, you guys, scientific research on microneedling and hair growth, and especially in a combination with minoxidil. It's insane. It's insane. Minoxidil is topical and also oral, but I'm going to get into that. We're just going to talk about microneedling right now. Now, when you look at the literature, and by that I mean the scientific experiments, the ones that have the abstract and their control groups and all of that stuff, not just what a manufacturer is telling me. No, go and look at the literature. When you look at the literature, the depth that they're saying for a microneedling device to make a difference in your hair is 1.1 to 1.5. Was that it? I don't know. It's on. I thought it was on here. I don't go that deep. I do about a 0.5. I use this sometimes. This is the microneedling pen. If you guys have not seen my Dr. Pen tutorials, I'm actually going to do a microneedling on my hands tomorrow, same time at 11 a.m. So join me there. But you can do the pen stamping technique. Don't swirl it because you're going to break your hair off. Stamping technique through your hairline. This to me, because my hair is so fragile, or has been so fragile, I was born with blonde hair. My hair is actually blonde. So somebody just said, do you dye your hair? I do dye my hair, because if I didn't dye my hair, and let me tell you what happens. I have very strange hair. My hair grows out dark, matches my eyebrows. So it's kind of a light brown. It grows out, and by the time it gets to about here, it starts turning blonde. So I only do my roots. I never pull it through. It ends up being blonde anyways. It's just, I've tried to go a little bit darker, and I'm going to tell you about hair dye when you're using the oral stuff. It changes, so you got to keep, you have to kind of adjust that. But right now, I want to talk to you about microneedling. Now, this is a stamper. It's on my Amazon storefront. So is the Dr. Pen. Just scroll around, you guys. When you go to my linked tree in my bio, you'll see if you click on that, you'll see the icon, the Amazon icon. What I'm talking about here is in the Amazon store. This is the Dr. Pen adjustable stamper. This is the Dr. Pen microneedling tool. This is what I use everywhere else, but I do like the stamper on my scalp. And the reason is because my hair is so fragile that I don't want to, I don't know, it just freaks me out. To be honest with you, it just freaks me out. Like, I don't want to do anything to damage the hair that I do have and the growth that I am really experiencing right now. So I will take a 0.5 millimeter and stamp throughout the hair. Now, this is causing microtraumas, right? A roller can do the same thing. If you're going to do a roller, I suggest the Jen Amber one. I'm not getting paid a dime for any of this information, but I would suggest the Gen Amber one because those surgical steel needles are individuals. They're not like on a track. So you get less damage in the form of a triangle when you're using a roller that has a single needle, per thing. You get a lot less damage if you're doing a stamper, whether you do the microneedling Dr. Penn stamp and just stamp it instead of swirl it, or you do something like this that's adjustable and you stamp it right on your scalp. Now, it's creating microtraumas, which are calling on your body to come to the rescue and to produce collagen. Well, when you're doing this on your scalp, what you're doing is you are reminding your stem cells down here, hey, we got a job to do. We're supposed to be like making hair. So if it's in this phase, excuse my whole thing, you guys, sorry. I swear one day I'm gonna get like a dry erase board where I can just like stand up like a teacher. But if you're in this phase and your body is determining, are we killing off these stem cells? The stem cells have gotten a little bit lazy. Are we killing them off? Let's say you're 50. Are we gonna kill these off as it recedes, or are we gonna make another one? You microneedle. It's almost like you're waking up these stem cells and you're saying, wait a second, we got a job to do. We're not done. Let's make another hair. That's how this helps. That's how microneedling helps. Okay, moving on. So I do this once a month. Again, if you have not received my skincare protocol that tells you how to use all of these gadgets and how to get them in each week, and be consistent with them, because consistency is key. Does microneedling induce shedding? I've tried and lost hair. If you're microneedling too much and you're creating scar tissue, have you ever seen a piece of hair grow out of a scar? It's very rare, right? Once you've created scar tissue, it's hard to grow hair. So initially what could happen if you're microneedling is your hair could be like, you know what? Oh, something's happening. Let me just spit out a new hair real quick. I need to grow. So two things could be happening. You're stimulating those stem cells to produce the hair, the keratin, and do the hair, but you could also be like, oh, it's in a resting phase. Let me spit something out quick. So two things could happen, and that's not a bad thing because it's not doing it all at the same time. Okay, so I do once a month with this at a 0.50, and I stamp my entire head. I also do my eyebrows. Sometimes I do my eyebrows with the Dr. Penn M8, but I like with hair, just for safety issues, is I like to just stamp the whole head with a stamper instead of doing the pen. And I repeat that once a month. Okay, hydrolyzed collagen. This has to do with nutrition. So when we look at the hair shaft, what is going to be like the nutrition portion of this, and how is that important? All of your nutrition comes through your blood vessels. So a hydrolyzed collagen, especially when I'm stamping, and creating those microtraumas, I always double up on my collagen when it has to do with that. If you're interested in this collagen, DM me the word collagen. I'll make sure you get the link and the best deal on that. But that's what the collagen is doing. It's adding those kind of nutrients that you need. Speaking of nutrients, if you're going to do a full vitamin panel, make sure that you're adding in all of your hormone stuff, and you're adding in the iron. But if you are experiencing, and you're in that trauma phase of experiencing your hair falling, my knee-jerk reaction is to put you on a prenatal vitamin, regardless of what your age is. And the reason is because you can have all of your bases at least covered with a prenatal vitamin. You've got biotin in there, there's iron in there, there's folate in there, there's the nutrients covered. Then you can start fooling around with all of this other stuff. But at least you know that you're not lacking the vitamins and nutrients necessary to promote hair growth. So am I on a prenatal vitamin? I am. Well, I'm working with the company Zymogen I have a nutrition line. I don't know if you guys knew that. I'm a holistic nutrition and health coach. I have my own supplement line, which I have now I'm revamping all of it. I'm just refiguring the whole thing. I'm doing healthy aging bundles. So it's a long story. But anyways, right now what I'm doing is I'm on a prenatal vitamin because I know I'm not on it now because my diet is ridiculous. But when I mean ridiculously good. I meant ridiculously good. But when I started losing hair, the first thing I did was boom, got on a prenatal vitamin because I want to make sure biotin, iron, you know, I got all of my bases covered so that I'm not nutritionally deficient, and at least I know I'm feeding my hair. Now, if your circulation isn't good, this is why hair loss, you guys, is so confusing, and one treatment is not necessarily what is going to work. Multiple treatments work because let's assume you have all your nutrients. Let's assume you've got your prenatal, you're doing your collagen, you're on your hair vitamin. If you do not have the circulation to get this to your hair follicle where those stem cells are, it's not going to grow hair. It's not going to grow hair. I was on Nutrafol for a long time because I was like, okay, let me see. Gosh, I want to see if I can get this out of here. I was on Nutrafol for a long time and various hair vitamins. You want to name a hair vitamin? I guarantee you I have tried it. My problem is not nutrients because my diet is spot on. My problem is circulation. I have a very tough scalp. That's what my problem lies. So it doesn't matter how much of this stuff that I take, I'm going to pee it out. I already have all the nutrients I need to grow hair. My iron levels are spot on. My hormones are spot on. I'm up on my blood work. My problem is circulation. So massage, red light therapy, microneedling increases circulation as well. All of that stuff, right? I'm doubling up on my collagen when I'm doing those little micro traumas. I wish I could get this out, but I can't. This is what's up for grabs, by the way, you guys. And this is not cheap. But I stopped taking it not because it didn't work, but because I already my nutrition's already spot on. This isn't my problem. And I only realized this wasn't my problem when I took it for a year? I took this for a year and it did nothing for my hair. It might be wonderful for yours if your issue is, are you getting the right nutrition? This could be wonderful for your hair. This is what's up for grabs. You need to invite your 3 people. When I post this to my site, then I will, you'll tag 3 more people. Sorry, I just got a little brain thing. I was thinking about something else. When I put this to my site, then you'll tag 3 more people and you'll comment, and I'll announce this next week. These around the eye mask, I'm going to announce this tomorrow because I didn't sleep a lot because I was researching. And so the winner of this will be announced tomorrow when I microneedle my hands and do that demo. So if you didn't tag your 3 people on the post that I did on microneedling my eyes, by the way, you guys, I don't know if you guys saw my story, but that microneedling I did around my eyes at a 0.25 with this pen and also on my face with a 0.5, it took 3 days to heal. Did you see that? Less than 3 days. I could wear makeup the next day, although I didn't, but less than 3 days. That's some good nutrition, you guys. That's some speed healing. That's some red light therapy. All of those, you see how the combination of all of that works for the skin? It's combinations of treatments that work for the hair. It's not just one. So this one treatment might work for a lot of people because they're lacking nutrition. That's not my problem. My problem is something else, right? It was actually as well hormones. So when my hormones changed, I lost some hair. I have thyroid issue, I lost some hair. Circulation, I lose some hair. So all of those things combined. What other game-changing hair solutions? Okay, we're on it. So prenatal, iron, all of that, nutrition. This is what's up for grabs. How do you say this? This kind of shampoo. This is an antifungal shampoo, you guys. It's made for dandruff, but when applied topically on the hair, you really have to leave it on for 3 to 5 minutes. It's not just a regular shampoo. You just wash and put it on and rinse it off. These kind of things are mild DHT blockers. If you're in your 30s, this might be enough, right? It's not enough for me. And one of the downsides of these kind of shampoos is that it could lead to extremely dry hair. So if you're a man and you've got short hair, this might work much better for you. For a woman, for me to get this in my scalp and leave it there for 3 to 5 minutes, it literally turns my hair into straw. I can't use it. For a man who has shorter hair, this is a much better solution. For a woman, because it's a DHT blocker, so remember, that's a hormonal thing. That's when the testosterone gets converted to DHT. That inhibits the anagen phase of your hair growth. So the DHT works here and blocks this. This blocks DHT. Okay, so this is one of your options. Ketoconazole. I don't know how you say it, but anyways, it's an antifungal. It literally decreases dandruff, and it actually reinforces the sebum level as well. So it does help with the sebaceous gland, and which coats the hair. But you do need to do it two to 4 times a week. You need to leave it on for about 3 to 5 minutes. And 80% of people found that it keeps their hair from falling. But you want to look for a shampoo that is 2%. You see how this is only 1% ketoconazole? It's only 1% ketoconazole. The 2% are the ones that are the most effective, but those also are the ones that really, like, my hair will break. So although my scalp is healthy, if you're a woman, you've got longer hair, you have to be very careful about hair breakage. So that's why I recommend this more for a man than I do for a woman. Okay, there's also biotin shampoos. And if you think that you're putting something on your hair scalp and it's not getting in your bloodstream, you're mistaken, because it is, right? This is a two-way street, you guys. You put something on topically, whether it's minoxidil, or you're putting something topically on like biotin. It's minimal to be able to get into the bloodstream, but it gets through the entire bloodstream. That's why the shampoos that you're using, if you're using chemicals that are detrimental to your health, just know it's getting in your bloodstream. Okay, so now we're going on to minoxidil. So we're on oral minoxidil. There's 2 different types of minoxidil. There's the topical and there's oral. So this, to me, this is a minoxidil. It's prescription only, so you need to get this from your dermatologist. This is what has literally changed my hair. I've never seen anything like it in my entire life. There are some drawbacks to this, but I hope you guys realize I have tried everything, literally. I've tried PRP injections. I've done red light therapy. I've done the shampoos. I've done the hormones. My nutrition is great. Mine has to do with blood flow. And guess what minoxidil does? It increases blood flow. It extends the anagen phase and it increases blood flow. That's why for me, it's working like crazy. It doesn't mean it's going to work for you, but for me, because now I know what my cause is, this is for men too. It's men and women. For me, mine is blood flow. And so minoxidil has been working just unbelievably. It's a combination. What I'm seeing in my hair is a combination of minoxidil. You can do this topically or you can do this orally. Oral, for me, has been a game changer. It's a combination of the oral minoxidil, microneedling, and red light therapy, and collagen. Those 4 things, I think, to me have been the finally, after decades of struggling with my hair, I can see like, wow, this doesn't even feel like my hair. It doesn't even feel like my hair. And to be honest with you, sometimes I have to shave my forehead because there's just little things. I didn't catch the name. Minoxidil. This is the same thing as Rogaine. You'll see Rogaine was applied topically for years. It's still applied topically. It's still available, applied topically, but they have found out that the oral medication works better for some people. The drawback to this is it does decrease blood pressure, but I don't think that's a bad thing. For those of us that are like, you know, a little high in blood pressure, it's not a bad thing. You start super small. With all of these kind of medications, you don't, especially oral medications, this is finasteride. You want to start super, super small because they do all have side effects. Although really, somebody asked to show the collagen bottle. DM me the word collagen, I'll just get you the right one. This is skin. I like the Life better a little bit now, a little bit more better because the Life has added resveratrol in it, which is great for healthy aging. So same amount of collagen with resveratrol. So I'll send you the link to the Life. And you do get a discount. It's like $10 off for new customers and I think free shipping. Plus they give you all kinds of perks and points and then you get free product and I don't know. But this is the best collagen on the market, to be honest with you. So a lot of people only do this and have great hair growth. A lot of people only do this and have great hair growth. Guess why? It's nutrition. You're lacking your nutrition. You're starting out and you're just started to shed, add a prenatal vitamin. Add a prenatal vitamin just to cover all your bases and then figure it out blood work wise, right? Okay, so minoxidil oral, it works with vasodilation. So you're literally increasing the blood flow here. It's vasodilation, which means you're relaxing the inner membrane of your blood vessels, relaxes them so it opens them up. So you're getting more blood flow, which means more oxygen, which means more nutrients right to those stem cells where you're producing the hair. Does that make sense, you guys? Isn't it fascinating? Oh my God, I find it so fascinating. I've learned a lot about hair recently because I couldn't get a shy doctor on the air, but I'm learning, I'm doing it. Okay, so that it extends when you're talking about minoxidil, the oral minoxidil. You do need to go in at first and get your blood pressure taken because it will decrease your blood pressure. So if you are somebody that has low blood pressure, this could, you know, address two different things. It will lower your, if you have, I meant that the opposite way. If you're somebody who has high blood pressure and you have issues with hair growth, this could address two different things. It could lower your blood pressure a little bit, which is healthier, and it could increase the circulation in your scalp, which will grow hair. That's how it's working. But if you are somebody that has low blood pressure, you need to be very careful about this. So this isn't something, if somebody is like 85 years old and they have low blood pressure, they get up and they get dizzy, and this is not what you want to use. You only can do this under a doctor's care and you start small. This is 2.5 milligrams. I take this twice a day. It works for me. It works for me. The normal, like if you were to do a standard, what they would normally start you at is a 0.25 milligrams to 5 milligrams once a day. So I split this, my doctor split this up. So I've got it in the morning and the night, and I'm doing a 2.5. So it's right in the middle of where you would start. It's not a big giant amount, but I'm telling you, it works. It has worked for me. Okay. Also things like Cialis, right? Which is erectile dysfunction and prostate health for men. It increases blood flow to multiple areas, including your scalp. So a low dose of Cialis could actually help with hair growth. It has to do with circulation, right? It has to do with circulation. If people have erectile dysfunction, it oftentimes goes hand in hand with hair loss, because we're talking about circulation here. Does that make sense, you guys? Okay, next one is finasteride. So this is a prescription of finasteride. Now, finasteride works differently than minoxidil. Minoxidil increases circulation. This is my problem. Finasteride blocks DHT. And finasteride was made for prostate health, right? It's supposed to help men's prostate, and then they realized that by helping men's prostate with finasteride, they started growing hair. And that pathway is they're blocking that hormone, the DHT, which is DHT negatively affects the anagen process of the hair growth. DHT works on this and negatively affects this. So finasteride blocks DHT. That's how this oral medication works. So 0.5 to 1.0 milligrams per day is a good starting point. You have to be very patient with this. You don't want to start something like this. Your doctor doesn't want to start something like this and then just keep upping. No, you want to make sure you're on the smallest amount that's effective. The smallest amount that's effective. Because there are negative side effects with all of them. So you just need to make sure, right? But the interesting thing with finasteride, which is another name for Propecia. So Propecia, finasteride, they're the same things. 90% of people saw a 20% increase in hair growth. 90%. That's a staggering percentage, but that's what the research shows. That's not just like what the drug company shows. Those are people, scientists doing experiments. 90% show a difference because it's blocking the DHT. That's the pathway of this. Minoxidil has to do with circulation. Finasteride, Propecia has to do with blocking DHT. You can also do a topical solution of finasteride. Just like you can do a topical solution of minoxidil, you can do a topical solution of finasteride. Now, it's difficult to be able to give you the right amount. So when you're taking an oral medication, you know exactly how much is getting in your bloodstream. When you're doing it topically, remember when we're doing it topically, it still can seep down in here. So you do a higher concentration because it's not taken up as much as if you're ingesting it. But the way you regulate that is a little bit more difficult, right? Because of the process of absorbing it and then it hitting your bloodstream. This you can regulate in terms of dosage a lot better. Hope that makes sense. Okay, so which brings me to some in-office treatments. The next time that I do something on hair, I really want to get a doctor in the office to talk about things like PRPs, where they are drawing blood, they're spinning the platelet-rich plasma, they're separating it, they're injecting it back into the hair. Now, how do we think that works? The platelet-rich plasma is more nutritious, right? It's condensing that blood and giving us a lot more nutrients. It's injecting it back into the scalp. And so it's adding nutrition, just like our collagen, just like our prenatal vitamin, just like this vitamin that's up for grabs. It's adding more nutrition into the area that's producing the follicle. And it's also, I was just kind of reading at the same time, so I kind of got a little bit thrown off. But so it's adding nutrition, and also the act of the needle, just like microneedling, is waking up the stem cells. So the PRP injections work on both things. It's stimulating, creating the microtrauma, and it's giving more nutrient-dense platelets to the area that's producing the hair. Okay, I hope that makes sense, you guys. Okay, moving on. So that was already PRP injections. They're also doing things like ultrasound treatments. And that's one of the things that I really kind of wanted a doctor to talk about. There's a lot of stuff that's coming up, you guys, a lot of stuff that's coming up that wasn't available 10 years ago. Even the amount of the transplants that they're doing for men are so much more subtle. You'd never know somebody had a transplant. So very interesting stuff. And then they're also doing things like Botox on the scalp. Who knew? Who knew? I mean, Botox is like, come on. The amount of uses for Botox for migraines and for TMJ and they're just finding so much. Finasteride is not only for men. I'm actually taking this as well. I'm about to stop this because I don't think the DHT is my issue. The minoxidil, which is the hair circulation, just by deducing things that I've tried over the years, I believe that is my issue is the, the circulation and getting blood flow into that area. I'm starting to do a lot more inversions. That's why I started doing my handstand practice, you guys, for those of you guys that are watching my handstand practice, because I'm trying to get inversion. All of that stuff helps with circulation. Exercise helps with circulation. All of that helps with hair growth, right? Okay, so there are the herbal stuff, the saw palmetto berry. It's not a magic pill, but it does help to slightly decrease DHT. So it works on that androgen pathway and slightly decreases DHT. It's more of a natural way. So that's the saw palmetto berry. What's kind of recommended is like 300 milligrams a day. Again, it's not a magic pill, but when you combined those kind of things, work a little bit with the DHT, with the saw palmetto berry or turmeric. Turmeric or curcumin is also an inhibitor of DHT. So I take a turmeric pill every day. It helps a little bit with the DHT. You combined that with red light therapy, with microneedling, with collagen, with the nutrition, with the circulation. Now you've got stuff that could potentially work, right? Right? Saw palmetto, try a capsule or tea. Tablets are full of fillers. Okay, tea. Okay, there you go. Thank you so much. So you guys can try a saw palmetto berry tea, and that works subtly as a DHT blocker. Now, if you're in your 30s, that might be enough, or it might be enough to combine it with other stuff. All right? Caffeine. Caffeine, not ingested because there's so many different ways that we utilize that, but they are now working with caffeine applied topically to the hair in conjunction with a lot of other stuff, and it does indirectly stimulate the IGF-1. It's enzyme, it's kind of hard to explain, but it does affect that DHT pathway when applied topically. Okay, so you're not going to like pour coffee on your head, but they are doing some sort of things that, sting or tingle the scalp. All of that has to do a little bit the caffeine with the DHT when it gets into that trough. It helps with the DHT, caffeine, and there's still a lot of research that needs to be done on that, you guys. We're at the very, very early stages of that, but start looking for caffeine for hair applied topically because it is a thing and they are doing a lot of research on that. In terms of other hormones that you could do, like the growth hormone, I'm not big on doing growth hormone. And the reason is because growth hormone occurs naturally in our bodies. So if you go to sleep at the same time every day, that's when your growth hormone, there's a spike in the production of growth hormone. So if your sleep diurnal pattern is off, you're not producing the optimal amount of growth hormone. So sleep is so tied to hair. Who would have thought? But it's true. Sleep is tied to hair because in the first couple hours of sleep, you're producing your growth hormone naturally. Growth hormone helps with all of this. Now, if you're doing external growth hormone, it's not something that I do. It's not something that I promote. Done under a doctor's care, there are some benefits to it, but you never know what kind of cells you're going to be growing. And not all cells multiplied are great, right? What about IV antioxidants? Well, that's what the turmeric and the curcumin is. Those are antioxidants, but they actually work on that DHT pathway. Again, if you're, everything is so connected, so we really need to make sure that you're in optimal health. If you're insulin resistant or if you're insulin resistant, or you're obese, your chances of losing hair are a lot more. I know it's sad to say, but insulin resistance is detrimental to hair growth. So obesity and insulin resistance can lead to hair loss by way of the IGF-1 increasing. So it works on that DHT pathway again. That makes sense. Metformin, we talked about that. I did that live on metformin and Wegovy, all of those weight loss shots that work with insulin resistance and blood sugar glucose levels. Those are, to get your blood sugar under control is super important for hair. It's just it's like so many things, you guys, right? That's why hair loss is so complicated because there's so many causes. And once you figure out what is your particular cause and you know how to address it, otherwise it's a broad stroke of all the things that you can do. And I hope that that's what I've given you here today is that broad stroke. I think that's it. I think that's all I got. And it's 12:11. So you guys, thank you so much for being here. If you want to be in that drawing, before I get off of here, tag your 3 people or invite your 3 people I thought there was a question. Invite your 3 people and you'll be in that drawing. And then when I post this to my site, tag your 3 more people. Ask me all kinds of questions, you guys, in the chat. I mean, in the feed, because for the next couple hours, I'm going to try to answer as much as I can. My DMs get overwhelming though. I'm just going to give you a couple. If you want the protocol, DM me protocol, or you can sign up for my newsletter. This shows you how do I put all of these things in to a weekly schedule where I get everything that I need, right? I get in my microneedling, I get in my microcurrent, I get in my red light therapy, I get in my radio frequency. When I'm in red light therapy mode, you better believe that I'm also working on red light therapy for my hair, okay? Because circulation, that's my issue. That's one of my issues. So I'm doing that. So DM me protocol for this. If you want the best collagen in the world, it has to be a hydrolyzed collagen. You guys, stop wasting your money on the powdered shit. I'm sorry. But just stop doing it. And again, I have to thank, oh my God, where is she? Glow Up Community UK. I owe you a session. We're gonna get together. I'm gonna give you an hour session of mine, which by the way, my rates just went up, sorry. But for free for you, for helping me out, because you just field these questions for me so that I can get out as much information, as I can, without having to repeat and to go back. So I thank you so much for that. I really do. Okay, so I am gonna see you guys tomorrow. What else was I gonna say? I think that's it, right? I think I covered a lot of shit today. I did. Okay, it's not our last, this is just the first round of the hair loss, you guys, because it is, like I said, an ongoing process. A lot of different things come into play, whether it's hormonal, whether it's circulation, whether it's nutrition. There's a lot at play here. Okay, tomorrow's live, Sunday's lives are always gonna be a demo. And this is one thing I wanted to tell you guys as well. If you have questions that you're like, I really need this question answered, and I cannot, sometimes there's only one of me. I don't have an assistant who's answering all my questions. I have someone here who I love. Thank you so much. But in terms of real life and answering questions on my DMs or responding to posts, it's just me. And so there's a lot that goes into what I do in terms of research. And there's a lot in answering everybody's questions. If you have a question that is pressing and you absolutely need it answered, and I'm not answering you on a DM, please join the club for $4.99 a month. It's literally $4.99 a month. You will get unlimited questions answered as long as I can. And it usually takes me within 24 hours to answer those questions. And also my demos that I do on Sundays. So Saturday lives will always be posted to my feed, my main feed. You guys can go back over this. You can take notes. You can learn from everything that was said here. Ask me questions. I'll try as best I can. But the Sunday lives, so I'm doing a live tomorrow I'm going to microneedle my hands. And I might really microneedle my scalp really well tomorrow as well, but I'm definitely going to microneedle my hands, and those lives get posted to the Instagram club. That is a paid service of $4.99. So those you'll have in the club, you get all of these Sunday lives that really give you the depth of the needle that I'm using. How does that change based on how thick your skin is, the speed I'm using, the number of needles I'm using. All of those demos get posted to the club so they can go back and kind of follow along. So if I'm doing a microneedling on my hands, which I'm going to do tomorrow, people in the club can do their hands and follow along with me at the same time. So anyways, that's just an option. I'm going to see you guys tomorrow. I thank you so much for your time. I love that I get to teach this stuff. I love that you guys have the thirst for knowledge and you can be more informed consumers. And I really hope that these treatments, some of them are going to work for you. And just based on the research that's out there, some of these are going to work for you. Okay? It is not just a give up and let's just all go bald and lose our hair. It's tied to our self-esteem. And there's nothing wrong with going bald. But for the majority of us, it's tied to our self-esteem, especially as a woman. not especially as a woman, but kind of especially as a woman. It's tied to our self-esteem. There's a lot of handsome bald men, right? There's a lot of beautiful bald women, but for most of us, it's tied to our self-esteem. And there are treatments out there that actually work. I'm like literally living proof. Okay, you guys, I'm gonna see you tomorrow where we microneedle our hands. Mwah! Have a beautiful rest of your Saturday. I'll see you later.